Hey, Pawn family, welcome to another episode of the Pawn Leaders Podcast. I'm super excited to have a great guest with me today, all the way from Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Michael Mack, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Not necessarily so for today's show. We're going to tell it all.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I want. That's what I was getting into next. I know you're in Vegas, but we have to tell everything that happens over there. Cool, man.
Exactly.
Thanks for being on the show. I follow you online, and I want to start with just how you got into the pawn industry.
I'm a fifth generation pawnbroker. So it goes way back. My father was in the business, but my brother and I are the first two to ever go in business with each other and take the family business to the next level. So my great-great-grandfather, he had a pawn shop in Seattle, Washington, sold Jimi Hendrix his first guitar. So that's kind of a cool claim to fame. Yeah. But, so I was born with the pawn spoon in my mouth. My dad had a single store in Reno, Nevada. My mom is an only survivor of the Holocaust, and really a pawn guru herself. And my mom and dad, my mom, after the war, moved to San Francisco, worked for Bank of America. My dad worked for a credit jeweler. He didn't work for his father. None of the generations before worked for their father. You know how family business is. I don't need to tell you.
Yeah.
But so they met and they got married and they honeymooned in Lake Tahoe in Reno. And my parents didn't have much, and my mom won a jackpot for like $500, and that was the start of Super Pawn.
Oh wow!
They opened it and, right off, the Reno Arches where it says "Welcome to fabulous Reno, Nevada." Right underneath it, a little motel called the Silver Slipper, and it was, the beginning of my mom would iron T-shirts, and they had coats in the window, and they bought costume jewelry, and long story short, launched my brother and I to do what we do today. My brother and I created Super Pawn. My brother sold the company about 11 years ago to Cash America, 50 stores. And really, what we thought of the business is much of what I see what's happening with your family is, a different level of service. Pawn shops aren't what they used to be. People feel comfortable. The pawn shops are nice. They're appealing. They're not just where I would go to buy tools or guns or, electronics. It's where ladies go when they buy jewelry. And of course, now with me, and so in your family as well, they do handbags. It's a big piece of our business. So my brother since then sold out the company, and he has the software Bravo, and very successful software for the pawn industry. And I have had, I kind of launched out into a different world, similar to what you've done. And I went out in the community and I got involved. I became a planning commissioner for the city of Las Vegas. I was appointed to that, and then I was appointed to the Las Vegas City Council in '99, and I was on the city council from '99 to 2006. So got my feet wet in politics and enjoyed that. It was the fastest growing city in the United States. So I really enjoyed it. And about 9 years ago, I came back into the pawn industry, and I opened up Max Pawn. We had a small store, and then we moved into our new, larger location. And we're off and running.
Awesome, and very, very cool. I love the story. And there's two things before we get into that, you're in Vegas. Let the listeners know what the hold period is for a pawn or a buy and what you guys charge.
Yeah, so Las Vegas is a limited market. It's not easy to get into the marketplace. There's a moratorium on pawn shops that's been on here forever, that you can't just go and open a pawn shop or get a license from the city. You have to wait till the population increases to a certain level, and then they have a lottery, and they charge $2,500 for a lottery ball, and you can put in for as many balls as you want, and the winner gets the right to open up a pawn shop with a $100,000 bond in place. So we haven't had pawn shops issued in years, because what happened is when the economy was going strong, they were given pawn shop licenses left and right. And for some reason, the Mack family happened to get a lot of those balls. And we opened a lot of stores. But since then, the population decreased. So there's not been a population increase in many years. The state law regulates our industry, like many pawn shops. we have a 90-day loan, a 3-month loan. And at the end of the 90 days, we do a courtesy 30-day extension here at Max Pawn. You're not required by law. So it's 120-day or 121 days before it expires. And then our interest rate is 13% a month.
Awesome. Thank you. And following you on social media, there's two things that you do incredibly well. And it's why, I wanted you on the show. One is your PR is epic. You're always on the news. Like any event that's happening in Vegas, they call you guys. If it's Valentine's Day, if it's Mother's Day, if it's Father's Day, you guys are always on the news and in the community. So let's talk about that first before we get into like the luxury goods. How do you guys do it? And why do you think it's important for a pawn shop to consistently have great PR and be in the news?
So, we were very fortunate to be nominated as Pawn Shop of the Year Image Award here at the National Pawnbrokers Association. We won that this year.
Oh, congrats.
It's kind of an accolade to what you said. How are we out there? Well, number one, and I think every pawn shop should really consider it, hire a PR person. Because your PR person will bring you ideas all the time. And, it's national, left foot day. It's national right foot day. It's national, garage sale day. And somehow we weave ourselves into these stories and make it a story. So I sit down with my PR girl and we go, oh, garage sale. Well, yeah, we're a garage sale. Oh yeah, it's our left foot. So we make it whatever type of a day. Now, we can't do this every day, but as you can see, we do weave ourselves into the news many a days, and they look at us as the expert. Last year, we had a new hockey team that opened up here in Las Vegas, NHL, Las Vegas Golden Knights. We weaved ourselves in. We had a pep rally during the Stanley Cup.
Nice.
My dog became the official dog of the team. So again, weaving yourself in, just being smart. And I have this gal who is just a dynamo. She gets in there. She's friendly with all the news crews. Newspapers, not so much anymore. I don't think anyone's really seeing much of a newspaper, but your broadcast news and your news stations, they're looking for material all the time. And if you have a great pawn shop and you're doing something for Valentine's, we also do something that's really key is we tie in a nonprofit for everything. So if it's Valentine's, we're having a Valentine's sale and it's for Junior League, or we're having a St. Patrick's sale and it's for, Make-A-Wish. So there's always something. And it really, on top of it, we're giving back to the community. They love us. And I believe it, I think people like doing business with companies that are community oriented and give back. Hey, I like that guy. I like that company. I'm going to go do some business with them. And so it's not just the traditional, oh, I'm looking for a loan customer or looking for someone to come in and buy some jewelry. It really goes beyond.
So you said something and it kind of cut off, but I wanted to just reiterate. You said that you hire a PR person. It's really funny because what you do and what my brother and I used to do when I was there are very, very similar. We hired a PR company and, Thanksgiving, we gave away 100 turkeys to the community and we weaved ourselves as part of the community, not just a business in the community. And I love what you did, like with the dog in the NHL. It's awesome. So that's very, very cool. Love that. So hire somebody in PR, and give back to a nonprofit of some sort.
And do it throughout the year. Don't just it's not just once a year. If there's there's a fire. I mean, we've had fires in California. If there's something we can give back and donate or help out. Someone who loses their whole home in a fire. How many times do you hear that in your community? Yeah. Give them, a few items in your store to get them back on their feet. Or another thing I do, which you'll like, is I'm close with a lot of the rabbis and local preachers in the area, and we're friends. And I tell them, if you have someone that is in need, please come to me. And I'm not just everyone who's in need, because everyone goes to your rabbi or someone that's in need. Bring them to me. Call me. I'll give them an interest-free loan.
Wow.
Yeah. And why not? Why wouldn't he? Yeah. And it's amazing is I've done that a few times, and now these customers are good customers. They're not pawn customers anymore. They're actually buying all the time. So another thing, it's easy to do. You can just do it with whoever your rabbi or significant other, who you work with, and it works.
So let's talk about this. Every time that you're on the news, when you do these types of things, what type of feedback are you getting from clients? You're posting it on social media. What's happening to your brand and the image of Max Pawn when you're consistently out in the community?
Well, I think it's just tremendous. First of all, I've always been in the jewelry and watch business, being a pawnbroker for forever. But now that I'm in the handbag business, I'm always a topic of conversation in every type of, if I'm with friends or cousins or whoever we're with, they want to talk about the handbags. I don't care about the diamonds. I don't care about the watches. They want to talk about the handbags. I'm sure it's happened with your brother too.
Yeah, for sure. And when did the idea spark to say, let me bring in some handbags and see what that does?
I started it when I started the store 9 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So I was really out front. Jordan Tabak Bank, a buddy of mine, and of course, friend of the industry out of Beverly Hills. He and I were friends, and he says, you should take bags like Birkins, like Hermes Birkins. I'm like, what? What's a Birkin? and he says, yeah, you should take them. So I took one. I took two. And I thought to myself, I'm going to take a Louis Vuitton because, not everyone knows what a Birkin is. And then I thought to myself, it was interesting. What I did is, when I looked at the business models out there, there was no one in the pawn industry in the handbag business. There was the consignment business. That was my competitor. And the consignment business, to me, it was so antiquated. They're more antiquated than most old pawn shops. And so I looked at their model, and here's their model. They take your items in consignment. They give you a piece of paper. They took a high amount, 40 to 60% of the fee. And the greatest thing I thought that what they did, which I loved because I'm now their competitor, they never called you. They never spoke to you. 80%, 80% of the people who do consignments never get paid, ever.
Wow. That's ridiculous.
So here, your mom takes her stuff in, and it's and it's typically, dresses and outfits and belts and this and that. They close their eyes because now it's gone, and they never think about it again. Now, your mom says, I'm going to call the consignment store, and what's going on? You guys, we forgot to call you, ma'am. Yeah, we sold one shirt and one blouse and this and that, and come on, we'll send you a check. And then the check wouldn't come. They'd call again. And this is that 80% figure. So I thought to myself, you and I are smart guys. I'm going to be in the consignment business. I'm not only going to charge a lower fee, I'm going to pay these ladies right away, as soon as possible, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to have them come in my store. I'm going to give them cash because then they're going to be able to shop in my store again. So it was like, oh my God, pawn industry is pretty competitive, this and that. And the consignment industry was not. So I look at, pawnbrokers out there that you have no competition out there. That's your competition. And if you can get into the consignment, because the consignment is, I think, the smartest, because you take in this Rolex watch and you're looking at it, and the guy comes in, and a lot of times people come in your store that not necessarily understand what a pawn shop is. They think a pawn means to get rid of it. So they get a loan on it, pawn. They will buy it outright. And those two numbers sometimes are low to the person that's coming in because he paid $6,500 for this. So you say to him, sir, what I can do for you is I can offer you a consignment. You can offer him a much greater number. You take a fee. Excuse me, 1 second. Did I lose you? I'm okay?
No, I'm here. Yeah, we're good. Go ahead. You take a fee.
We take a fee. It's usually 20 to 30%. So it's a lot lower fee. And people are thrilled. We call them right away, and they pick up cash and they spend money in my store sometimes. It's a great third option because, as you know, lots of people don't want to take $2,000 for this, or they don't want to take $2,500 on a buy. They want $4,000, and so I can take it for $4,000 because we're going to sell it for $45,500. It doesn't matter. You're going to make a percentage. Your customers can be happy, and then I do consign with a twist. So I offer the consignment. And so Yigal says, I want to consign that watch. That sounds good. You can get me $5,000 minimum. Okay, perfect. I need some money today. I give a loan on top of it.
Oh, nice.
So while it's in my showcase, it's tick-tocking and it's collecting interest. It's nice. And the customer's happy. They get a net amount when we sell it. We stop the clock. We pay off the loan. We pay the consignee the rest of the amount that's due, and they're very happy.
Very cool, man. I do want to go back to something,
Sure.
Michael, about the Image Award that you won this year. I think it's not just you, right? You have to ingrain in your staff this idea of having this great image in the pawn industry. What do you do with your staff? How's the culture at Max Pawn for you to be able to continue what you want, your vision, and for your employees to be able to put that out on, I think you said you send a guy out to the TV stations, right? Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah,
you
I don't do them anymore.
Yeah, you don't go anymore. You have somebody who
Yeah.
specializes in going, and your staff believes in that vision. So how do you do that?
So, we have we have different languages that are spoken in my store. But most important, James, my manager, he's the guy. He's my face of Max Pawn now, which I love it. My ego doesn't have to be there. I love it because that's how my business is going to grow. I mean, as I get old, they're not going to want to look at this old Jew. They're going to look at, this good looking kid. So we ingrain all our staff. We have a girl that speaks Chinese, and we're at the Chinese awards here locally recently. We have multiple Latin speaking folks, and it works. It just, we empower our whole staff. We have something that's interesting at Max Pawn. We're not a pawn shop. We're an e-commerce store. We're a multifunctional business. So we talk about our staff, and our staff, typically you walk in a pawn shop and there's 3-4 people in the pawn shop that are staff, and they're waiting for the clerk. It drives me nuts. So we have a motto in our store. If we're not helping someone in line, we're helping someone online. So my whole team is on different online teams.
Wow.
We have Tracy, we have eBay, we have the gun team, we have the music, Reverb. So everyone is embraced, and they all want to get stuff out there because they're on commission. They want to sell, and they're not going to just wait for, the guy to walk in the store. So it makes our store, I mean, our turnover rate at our store, I think we turn our inventory over 10 or 11 times this year.
Wow.
So
awesome.
It's crazy. But you know what it does also? It makes your customer locally want to get in that store and see stuff. It's not going to be stale. It's not, I'll wait till next week. It's not going to be here next week, sir. It'll be gone.
Let me pick your brain about that. You said if they're not serving somebody, they're online and they're in teams. And I think I love that, because if you have a guy or a gal who loves guns, then she's on the gun team. And if you have a guy or gal who loves guitars, then they're on the musical instrument team. And to team them up to see, who sells more, or to be able to sell online, I think that's brilliant, as opposed to just having one person in the online department and that's it, right?
Can't do it. You can't do it right. And so if we're not helping someone in line, we're helping someone online.
Oh man,
and what also, what we do is not only is that person that wanted to be on the gun team, we take them off the gun team. We push them on the handbag team because we want to get them multi-talented. They don't, we don't want them to sit stale in one area. So it works out very well. And, the store does, between $300,000 and $400,000 a month in sales. Jeez. So it's crazy. Yeah.
So for those of you listening, 10 times inventory turn, $300,000 to $400,000 in sales is because you've ingrained in these employees, one, obviously because of commission, a little bit of money, and two, you're pushing them to sell on different teams, do different stuff, inline, online. I think that's brilliant. Thank you. So
thank you. We also pay a commission, and something that even my brother and I had an argument over many a times. I said, I pay commission to my loan associates, because everyone in my store is a pawn associate. They do everything.
Yeah.
He goes, no, you don't pay them that. That's all. That's your given. That's what comes. I said, Steve, it's amazing what I have done with, paying, a commission on the pawn service fees, because now they're like insurance salespeople. They don't want to leave. The guy has a $150,000 loan balance. He's not walking away from that, because that pays him every month. So we pay commissions on that. We pay commissions on loans. On sales. And then we have a goal. We have a store goal. So for example, if the store goal is $250,000, if they don't reach the goal, it's not make or break. Like if you don't make it, you don't get anything. So if they only get 200,000, they get 75% of the goal of their pay, and then 50%. So we stagger it, but we're hitting goals every month here, which is really nice.
And so you're pushing people with, with the carrot. I think
Yeah.
the commission on the pawn loans, I think it's great. We used to do it as well.
Uh-huh.
And what it caused for people to be more attentive, to not let the loan walk out of the door. Two, to maximize the loan. And three, when the person came back, to do everything to convince them to pay interest as opposed to
Letting it
redeem.
expire.
Yeah.
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 Well, what we have found is now they have their own book of business, like an insurance salesman. I use that same analogy is,
Yeah.
when Udall is late on his loan, Claudia's on the phone talking to you. Otherwise, no one was talking. I mean, we have notices that go out via text and all that, but there's that personalization. What's going on? Or do you need a few extra days? Or we can work with you. And they're not. The worst thing that happens to them is the loan expires, and we own it for the associate. And also, when we don't get the loan at all, that's the worst day.
Yeah.
So,
And they're creating more recurring revenue for themselves, because as the client's paying interest, they're making money on the interest every single 3 months or whatever that time frame is. And I think it gives you, if you're paying somebody $15 an hour, $16 an hour, whatever that is, people want to have a way to make more money. They want to be able to rise to the occasion and bring more for their family. And if you're giving them that opportunity, like you are through commission of sales and loans, I think you'll have low turnover for employees, but you'll have that book of business that keeps on growing.
Exactly. So we're currently working on two great new pieces of business that, we're bringing additional types of services in. One is cryptocurrency. September 1, we're launching. We're going to take it in pawn. We're going to buy it, and people can buy merchandise with cryptocurrency.
Wow.
We're very excited. We got a cool program that we're working with. We're a beta test, so we'll see how it goes. But there's a lot of people that want to spend money with the cryptocurrency, and we see that to be a big benefit. On the pawn side, Udall has $1,000 of Bitcoin. We're going to loan probably 20 to 30% of what the coin's worth, the value of his. So we'll move that money, that cryptocurrency, into our wallet. We'll hold it. It's kind of like me holding a gold coin. We give a loan on it. They pay interest. We redeem it. So we're not involved with what's happening with the marketplace per se, because we're 20 or 30%. We're fairly safe. And then on purchases, people want to use it, to spend. Second item that we're working on, which I'm really excited about, is a handbag repair in store. So it's going to be called Shoe Lab Express. It's a big handbag repair place here in Las Vegas, and we're putting an express in, so people can drop off their shoes or bags or belts or wallets and have them repaired, and a week later they'll come back and get it. So another way to get people in my door to offer our opportunities that we have outside of the repair business.
And I think that's so crucial for pawnbrokers to hear that it's not just about the pawn and the sale. It's about how many other revenue streams can I bring in, and how creative can I be within the community to bring people to my store. And I think that you've done that to an incredible level, and being at the forefront of that. I think that's why you deserve winning that award at the NPA this year, for sure. Cool, man. Michael, this has been incredible. So much information. Let me ask you one last question. You've been part of the NPA. You've been in the pawn business for a long time. Where do you think some pawnbrokers today are doing it wrong? And what small twist, what small change can they do to make a difference in their operation today after they listen to this podcast?
Okay. Well, there's one thing I think old school pawnbrokers always have done and do still, and that's they penalize people who expire pawns with them. So Udall has been a customer for 20 years or 5 years or whatever, and he expires 2 loans. He's had 60 loans that he's picked up, but the 2 loans, they penalize him. They treat him like a different customer. Well, the way we look at it is, if it was a good loan, it's good inventory. And did we make good profit on that inventory? It doesn't matter. So you have to look at the whole. Don't treat any customer, because customers are harder to get today. They're not as, the pawn customer is the traditional pawn shops are having a harder and harder time, because tools, aren't as abundant, and they're not holding values. That's the reason I got into the handbag business, because it holds value. So we have to look at items that hold value, and it might be something else. So I'm looking forward to seeing your podcast, and maybe someone can show me some other items that we could take that we can make some money with.
Nice. That's awesome. And once again, listen up, guys. Don't treat that one customer who defaults 2 loans. If it's a good loan, if it's good inventory, thank that person.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah, no, he's still good with it. You know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah.
The old school was like, oh, he's not as good, or we loan him less now.
Yeah. Because I know the pawn shop softwares have maybe percentage ratings, and
right.
he was at 100 and now he's at 90, and you're like, oh, wait a second.
Right.
That's an A. Give the guy a break.
Well, I know with Bravo software, it evaluates the default profitability to that customer and gives them a benefit too. So nice. It does. So that it is smart. So, and I think it's super important that, we always look that way. But you know what? The way you're going to be a good pawnbroker today is watch your podcasts, listen to people, try different things. You have to try new things, because it's not the old school pawn shop. I mean, the jewelry business, it's in the tank. Here's one thing I have to say in the closing is, we're the last of the generation of the collectibles. We don't collect. Our kids are not going to collect silverware, flatware, china, crystal, artwork. These young kids they're not doing that. You know what they're collecting? Apps on their phone.
Yeah.
And so that's alarming for if we're in the pawn business, because they're not going to have that stuff. So we got to figure out what they want.
Awesome, Michael, this has been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much for giving such great value to the Pawn family. And for those of you listening, if you have not joined the Facebook group, the Pawn Leaders Podcast Community, jump in there. Michael, I don't know if you're in there, but if you're not, I'll put you in.
I'm in there.
You're awesome. Great. So join us in the conversation. Have an incredible day, and I'll see you on the next episode.